Alright, what is up guys? Lux here from the MD Journey. This is my first ever live Q&A. Give me 1 second as I wait for people to kind of join as I go ahead and go live on Facebook as well. But basically guys, while I kind of start the Facebook feed as well, this is going to be something that I plan on doing at least twice a month, so every other week let me get a little bit better light. There we go. To kind of answer some of your questions, be a little bit more direct, and make videos, kind of live Q&As that help not only the person that asked it, but also the rest of you. Because I know a lot of the questions I get through emails and my comments are often things that can help all my readers, all my subscribers. So that's what it's going to be. I've kind of collected some of the emails because I know some of you guys that are watching right now, some of you guys will be watching the replay, weren't able to attend because of time zone differences. So I collected some of the questions that you guys had, and so I'm going to provide the answers to those, and then anything that you guys have on the live feed as well, I'll go ahead and answer. But give me 1 second to set up the Facebook live as well, and then we will get to questions. Giveaways. I'm going to do 2 giveaways. So I'm going to do one in the middle, one at the very end, and then in the middle I have some huge news regarding the website, kind of the blog, and my plan for the future. So stay tuned for that. But if you are kind of joining, I see people kind of trickling in. Comment below, smiley face, something that I know that you're listening, and then where you're watching from. Really excited to just kind of try this out. Build a more direct communication and relationship with you guys. So give me 1 second. And I think the Facebook one should also be live now. There we go. Okay. Alright, so I think we are live in 2 different parts, so if you want to watch on Facebook, you can. I'm just going to kind of alternate. Because I know this is a YouTube and that's where I promise this will be, this is where I'm going to go ahead and kind of focus most of my attention. But yeah, kind of like I said, this is my plan to do bi-monthly videos that are very, live Q&As, answering your questions, things that you guys emailed, comment, as well as things that you put in the comment section during these videos as well. During the middles and throughout the videos, I want to give shout outs to you guys, give giveaways just for thanking you for being part of the community. I'm really appreciative of how fast we've grown. My goal is to get to like 500 subscribers by the end of the year, and I think we're going to do that by the end of the next month and a half. So again, thank you guys so much for just being part of the MD Journey. Hopefully I've been a little helpful on your journey. But we're going to get to the questions, and then in the middle I'm going to give you an announcement regarding the blog and kind of the future direction I want it to head. So one of the questions that I often get, a lot when I'm giving tips about medical school is kind of what is my favorite study method. And I don't want to belabor too much onto this point because I know I like to give tips, and there's a lot of links throughout my website on what I like to do best to study. But if you're not familiar, I have free step-by-step study guide that I offer on the website, as well as a free video course which kind of takes you by the hand from like before the day of lecture to when you're preparing for a test. And I'll link that below in the description, but you can also find that at TheMDJourney.com. But that explains how I study, and that's my most effective study methods. But there's plenty of things, even if that doesn't work for you, that you should really keep in mind. You need to come up with something that, a system where from the very start to the very end, you are only doing what matters to you and what's most effective. So if you don't get benefits from reading a textbook, don't read the textbook. Maybe skim it as part of your study technique. Sometimes we do things where they're not very beneficial, yet we waste hours and days on those, but then we don't really get the long-term retention. So for example, I'm somebody that really learns by like asking myself questions, testing myself, flashcards, which is why the technique that I share a lot on the website is designed to do that from the very start to the very finish. And so that's kind of what I share with you because it makes it the most efficient. It may not be the most efficient for you, but you have to understand how to create those systems. So my favorite study methods are things that require me to kind of focus on long-term retention from the very start. So my flashcards, I'm going to be releasing a video this coming Wednesday that's already scheduled on how to create very interesting images and movies inside of your head which will help you kind of remember things even when you're like a resident, when you're a third year and fourth year medical student like I am. And so stay tuned for that video. But definitely things, just create systems from the very start to the very end, which are able to basically complement your studying style. And don't do things that you think you should be, but you know aren't very effective. So if you don't learn by reading the textbook or by going to class, like don't incorporate those if you don't need to. Second question, also sent by the same person, are what are my favorite study kind of tools and resources? So I love making my flashcards through Anki. A lot of you guys know that. But some of the other tools that I like to use, especially for medical students, and I've talked about this in a previous video, is I love online med-ed. So if you guys don't know, there's always a link in my bio on my YouTube videos that you guys can check out with a free discount. But it is a great tool to learn by somebody that's creating videos. And they're just, I love tools that focus on high yield information. So online med-ed is a great one. Picmonic, Sketchy Micro, those are great resources to use in your medical school journey. There are some books that I recommend throughout the blogs, but it really depends on what you're trying to learn. But things that combine, like videos, things that combine question banks all together, things that are cohesive, I really love. So those are some of my favorite study tools in medical school. Second question that I have here, and I get this question a lot actually, and it's not by, it's usually by people that are non-traditional medical students. So see, non-traditional, for any of you guys that aren't familiar, that basically means that you went to college, then you went to maybe a different career, you took some time off, you try to build your CV for medicine, something of the sort, and you're trying to go into medicine, either as, you know, that was a planned journey of yours, or you were in like in a total different field. You may have been in finance, or you may have been an engineer, and then you decided you want to go into medicine. So a lot of the questions I get is, what tips would I give to somebody that's a non-traditional student? One of the few things that you have to remember, well, there's two main things, is that it's totally fine of changing your journey. And the first thing is, people always ask me, like, should I even try? Like, I'm interested in medicine, but maybe I'm a nurse. Maybe I am, working as an EMT. Maybe I'm working in finance. Like, it's a total different field. Should I even try to go into medicine when I'm not, maybe I'm not smart enough, I don't have as much experience? And you really have to get out of your own head. People think that people that get into medical school are smart, and they are. Like, we study hard, we've done our hard work, but that doesn't mean that you can't either. And sometimes I feel like if you are struggling to get into the application process, or if you feel like you have to cross a lot of hurdles because you're a non-traditional student, yes, it's going to be more difficult, but you can do it. So you have to get out of your own way. You have to build your confidence, and that's some of the biggest things is that you have to remember, is just getting out of your own way to kind of make the journey much easier for all of you guys. Can be successful in medical school. You just have to create the systems that I have kind of talked about. You going to medical school is a question. I am a medical student. Sorry if you don't know me and you haven't followed the channel very much. I'm a fourth year medical student here in the United States, so I'm like wrapping up my journey, applying to residency soon. And so I like to get tips to all of you guys that are in medical school and are about to go to medical school. So basically that's the first tip for non-traditional students, is that if you are concerned about whether or not you're good enough, first of all, you have to start getting out of your own way, because that's kind of the first step. So the second thing is kind of one thing you have to remember as a non-traditional student is when you interview, when you apply, you're going to be asked these questions all the time, which is, how did you get from this career or this path in your journey to now wanting to go become a physician? And so you have to remember that you have to somehow connect the dots. Clearly there's something that went in your head where you told yourself, I don't want to do finance anymore, and I want to come help people in medicine. You have to be able to explain that through your application, through your interviews, on kind of what experiences did you have in your past, and maybe when you were in that different career path that led you to now explore medicine. And everyone has a different journey, everyone has different answers, but some of my students that I have coached and mentored have talked about coming from finance and then realizing maybe they weren't helping people the way they thought that they were going to, and then they found an experience in medicine where they realized that they were finally in their element. They finally felt that they were in the place that they belonged. And so coming up with those stories is a great thing to kind of keep in mind. So that is my tips for international students. If you guys have any more questions, comment below. But I'll make more videos about gap years and things of that sort. I've done gap years myself, so I would be gladly happy to give insight to those who are needing tips for it as well. We'll do one more question and then we'll get to like some announcements and things. But let me see, since this is my first time using this, if I can read y'all's comments. So, let's see, Zaid, you said, even with following techniques of making questions and answers, it still takes me 2 hours to go over lectures and for independent learning handouts, sometimes much longer. Do you have any tips? So this is a combination of things that come with practice, and you have to realize why it's taking you 2 hours. So with time, you do get faster. But kind of you have to ask yourself, what is taking me 2 hours? Am I making too much, or am I spending too much time typing it out, making the content, regurgitating information from the syllabus, or am I spending 2 hours thinking about connections from the syllabus, the lectures, to my handouts, my Q&A forms? If you are thinking that you're spending an excessive amount of time, the good way to do it is track it. So like have a piece of paper, for example, and time yourself. Like if you're starting at 12 o'clock and you're studying in at 12:30, ask yourself, like, what have you done? And if you've only been able to get to 2 pages, but you really have only spent those 30 minutes kind of regurgitating those infos in Q&A forms, then maybe you need to switch your study technique a little bit. So kind of always reevaluate how you're spending your time. Things that I always found when I was first starting, I was kind of in your same boat where I was making outlines and I was making handouts and I was taking notes on PowerPoints, and I would be spending 6 to 7 hours a day even after lecture. And I realized that I didn't have 6 to 7 hours worth of knowledge in my head. So you always have to be very critical of your own time. How are you spending it? So Q&A outlines are something that I always recommend, but you have to make sure that you're very kind of quick on realizing what's the big idea, adding the details for your answers, and then keep moving to the next big idea, adding the details. And again, it comes with practice, but always get very critical and reevaluate your time. That would be my one tip on that. So let me see. Where am I originally from? I don't look American. I was born in India, came here when I was 5 years old, and been living in the United States since. But I guess my look won't go and turn to an American appearing face. All right, so I will do one more question, and then I will get to some of the bigger announcements regarding the blog and the website. So, hey Shames, good to see you on the feed. So the second question, or the third question I often get is, this is also helpful for a lot of you guys who are in the pre-med round, is how do I get shadowing experience? That's like the biggest sometimes barrier that students have when they are applying to medical school and they just don't know how to get shadowing experience, or they struggle getting a good enough of hours. So what's my tips on getting enough exposure under your belt? So shadowing, for the students that don't really know what to expect, it's usually where you find physicians in your areas, you find, go help out in a hospital, and you are basically following, as it sounds, shadowing a physician. You kind of get to see what the day of a doctor is like, or a day of a surgeon, depending on who you're following. And you get to experience the interactions with the patients, the surgeries. You may not do very much, but it's your first step in kind of exposure on whether or not you could see yourself in the shoes of the physician that you're following. So that is my kind of explanation on what shadowing is, because sometimes people do have some misconceptions. But how do you get shadowing? And a good way to do it is come up with a list of all the people that you can potentially shadow in your area. I would say, look up 25 to 50 physicians. So that can be finding the list through different physicians that work in a particular hospital. Look up a clinic that's right next to you, and come up with a list of all the physicians that you would want to shadow. And then from there, find out and collect all their emails, and then create a template where you can just BCC all of them. So BCC is a way to send an email without each of them seeing that you've sent it to multiple people. And you can say, dear Dr. blah, 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 my name is, introduce yourself. I am whatever year in college, or explain to them where in your journey you are. And then saying, I'm really interested in going to medical school. I'm looking to get some more experience under my belt. I was wondering if you are able to allow me to shadow you for a day or two. And then put period, say, thank you so much for your time. My flexible is quite flexible. My schedule is quite flexible, so please let me know what works best for you. And then the last sentence I always like to add on these kind of inquiries that are really helpful is saying something along the lines of, I totally understand if you're too busy or unwilling, or you're not able to take on a student. I would highly recommend I would highly appreciate it if you could recommend somebody else I could shadow. So that way you can have your list of 25 to 50, you send the emails, you may get 4 to 5 responses, and some of them may say yes or no, but then you may also get some more leads that you can reach out to. So that's my tip on shadowing. Find a weekend where you can go ahead and just kind of create a list of all the physicians you want to shadow, and then send those emails, and hopefully you can trickle in some experiences throughout your semester, and then repeat once you feel like you don't have any more people to kind of follow. So let's move on to some of the announcements regarding the blog and some huge kind of direction that I want to take this out. So the first thing is, a lot of you pre-meds are coming to me with questions, and you're watching the videos, and I'm thankful that it's been very helpful. But I wanted to create something more. I've already, as many of you guys know, written 2 books regarding tips for medical school. I have one on how to do well your first 2 years, and I have one on how to study. And most of you guys that have checked it out, a lot of you guys have given me some very good feedback. And it seems like the tips of helping you. But now I want to do something for the pre-med community out there that's watching my videos and subscribe to the blog. Is I, in the next 2 months, creating a very kind of what I like to consider the ultimate guide to your pre-med journey. So what's in my mind right now, it's going to be a combination of video courses. It's going to be 3 different books. One on kind of how to successfully and do really well when you're studying in college as a pre-med. One is going to be just kind of going over all the details over the application process, and one is going to be obviously on how to do well in the MCAT. So there are going to be books on those, as well as a video course that currently, when I've come up with the different topics that I can talk about, it's gotten to the list of about 82 different topics that I want to give tips on regarding what I would want to know as a pre-med when I was in your shoes at that moment. So the video course, the books, it's also going to have a Facebook group that I am going to be very active on, as well as allowing you guys to kind of give tips and advice to each other, and then doing bi-weekly kind of sessions where I can give very direct feedback to my students. So that's kind of what's going in my head, but I want more advice and more tips from you guys on what you want, because I have been removed from the process. There may have been things that you guys need help on that I just haven't been able to think of. So if you are interested in helping me, I'm going to take 5 to 10 students during the initial process when I'm kind of coming up with the final product. And if you want more details, just go ahead and subscribe to the email list at TheMDJourney.com, and I'll send more details as it gets closer. But I plan on having this completed by the end of September, and so I'm really excited to kind of get this whole package to you guys, and hopefully you guys are as well. Lots of cool tips that I want to give out that I wish someone had told me when I was a pre-med, and I want to share with you guys. But again, I would love your feedback. So if you're interested, I'm looking probably taking anywhere from 5 to 10 students, more probably around 7. And so that is going to be announcement number 1, is the creation of the ultimate pre-med journey. The second thing is I've enjoyed making these videos. A lot of you guys have given me some great feedback and very kind comments. And so the second thing that I'm going to be doing in September, currently I'm on my ICU rotation. Many of you guys know that. But in September, my schedule as a 4th year med student gets a lot more free, and so what I will be doing is doing a 30-day challenge where I am doing a video every single day. about a different topic about medical school, pre-med, motivational videos, the things that I like to make. So the plan is to start on the first day of September. I just wanted to kind of make that public officially, and then hopefully you guys are excited to get the 30-day challenge. It's going to be a video every single day. So love to have kind of a list of things that you guys want me to make a video about. So put that in the comments section here. Email me your specific questions, and I can make a video about that. So those were the two announcements. Now let's do my first giveaway. So my previous video that I recently made this past Wednesday, I went ahead and said that I would give away 2 of my bundles, my books on my website to somebody that's comment below or send me a question. And so I went ahead and just did a randomized thing online with the emails and names that I had for that drawing. And so the winners of the 2 bundles for my books, number 1 is Jason. So Jason, if you're out there, also a shout out and thanks for all the kind emails that you put out. And hopefully the surgeries that you recently saw are awesome. But I will be sending you 2 of the books on the website, and hopefully those are helpful. And the second winner, we have Sharon. So Sharon, also thank you for your comments. Hopefully the books are helpful to both of you. And so if you guys want to be part of the drawing in the future, go ahead and always kind of comment on the videos, email me with your questions, and I just always enter all those names into a drawing. So those are my 2 winners. Congrats to you guys. We'll do 1 more question, and then we will end this live stream, and then we will do another one probably next week or the week after. So hopefully this was helpful to you guys. Question, all right, we will do research. How do you go about doing research as a pre-med? Do you need research is the first question. And it's often kind of a stigma that we always have as pre-meds is that I have to do research. I need to kind of make the perfect application. And the answer is no, you don't need to. If you know that you don't want to do research as part of your medical journey, then it's okay of not having that part of your experience. Just make sure that the other extracurriculars that you do kind of outweigh that, because you may be asked by institutions that are very academic on whether you have research experience. It's okay to say no, but you need to have other things in its place. But if you are kind of unsure, or if you just don't want to do research because you don't think it'll be interesting, I still recommend that maybe try something. Try out a project for a semester in college and see if you enjoy it. And if you do, then that's great. Then, as I always say in my videos, try to grow your roles in those projects where you go ahead and start something. Maybe you're like a basic student researcher, you're just kind of helping with the experiments. And then as you go on, maybe the next semester you can help kind of create some of the projects, work with your PI and creating some amazing projects. Move on to the next semester, maybe you're helping with the writing of the manuscripts. You're always growing your roles. By the time you apply to medical school, not only can you say, this was a research project that I worked on, but these were the results I was able to get, and these were the contributions that I made. So that is a great way of applying research, and that applies to everything as a pre-med. So take that advice, and it's very an umbrella advice. You can kind of use it through all aspects, but you don't need research. It's helpful if you have it. If you get a publication, that's even more helpful. But it is a great thing that I recommend all of you try at least once. And the way to get research is similar to the way to get shadowing. Find a list of professors you may want to work with, projects that you're interested in, and send them a template similar to the one we talked about, and then see who responds. And if you find out during your research experience that it's not enjoyable, that's totally fine. Then in the future you don't want to become a clinician that's also doing research, and that's better to learn earlier than versus later when you have less time to kind of experiment with that. So we will make that the end of this live video. Hopefully those initial questions were kind of helpful to you guys. In the future, again, if you want me to kind of include your questions, if you want to be included in the free giveaways, go ahead and comment in the videos, obviously like them, subscribe them, email me with any of your personal questions you guys have. Again, it's been really fun just kind of helping you guys on your medical journey, and I'm glad that you guys have been part of mine. So hopefully you guys continue to watch the videos, follow the blog. It's growing much faster than I anticipated at this point. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate all you guys that kind of jumped in through the videos and the Facebook live feed. And for all of you guys that are watching the replay later on, hopefully these were helpful to you, and look forward to making one in the future as well. But I will see you guys in the next video. Take care, friends.